It's the 19th of June and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Tonight, privacy experts are concerned about Google spying on kids and... Did I mean spy kids? No, Google, I didn't. You're not going to suggest your way out of this one. Tonight, concerns about Google's data collection and calls for a double dissolution election. Yes, very good, Google. You've looked at our script. I was actually just about to say that. Yeah, OK, if you're so smart, what is a double dissolution election? Yeah, fat lot of good you are. Accessing and displaying your web history. OK, here's Mark Humphries with the headlines.
Coles, the supermarket whose prices are down just like status quo's credibility, has lost a court battle over claims of the freshness of its bread. Coles promoted certain breads as being freshly baked, but the federal court decided those claims were a fresh load of shit, meaning the only thing freshly baked in Coles' bread aisle is shelf stocker Gavin. The ACCC became aware of the issue after receiving a complaint from a member of the public. So, who raised the alarm? A Woolworths spy? A bread collector? A cranky old man?
Former Victorian Premier Jeff Kennett first raised the alarm and sent bread packets to the ACCC.
Cranky old man was the correct answer. Mr Kennett became suspicious after he read labels saying it was freshly baked but had Ireland listed as the country of origin. So if you thought life after being Premier was dull, rest assured that it's an unending adventure of reading the fine print on bread packets. Lawyers for the ACCC said that a substantial part of the baking occurred up to 6 months before the bread was defrosted in store and sold to consumers. This technique is called par baking and is said to be the inspiration for Jamie Oliver's new book, Jamie's 6-Month Meals. Coles now faces fines of more than $3 million, or roughly the price of one avocado. The annual Midwinter Ball took place at Parliament House last night, a yearly event that's a chance for politicians to have a bit of fun and let their hair down. Except, of course, for those who couldn't and those who wouldn't. The theme of the night was The Great Gatsby, a novel whose portrayal of wealth and luxury lends itself perfectly to our current budget emergency. All the politicians you know and love were there. Well, at least all the politicians you know. Christine Milne came as the ocean. Bill Shorten thought the theme was punching above your weight. Tony Abbott and his wife Margie arrived wearing matching facial expressions. And the highlight of the party, Mr and Mrs Operation Overdressed. The Midwinter Ball is now in its 15th year, as is Liberal MP Wyatt Roy. And finally, a new study has found that the number of children being prescribed antidepressants is on the rise. That's what happens when you start talking about cancelling Peppa Pig, Mark Scott. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. You know, back in my day, kids only got depressed over serious issues, like the steady decline of the Australian textiles industry. Next up tonight, the Coalition's bill to abolish the Clean Energy Finance Corporation has, for the second time, been voted down by the Senate, which is almost as many down votes as my AMA session on Reddit. The result provides a trigger now for Tony Abbott to call a double dissolution election, something the Greens have been pushing for quite a while.
The Greens say, bring it on. Bring it on, Mr Abbott.
Bring it on. Christine Milne is ready for another election. Either that or she's just dead keen for a Kirsten Dunst movie night. And apparently so is the Greens Senator Scott Ludlam.
So if it's an election you want, then bring it on.
Yeah, Tony Abbott, that election that current polling says you'd almost definitely lose, bring it on. What about you, Bill Shorten? You going to bring the microwave popcorn?
If you want an election, try us.
Try us. Yeah, it's not quite working.
If you think Labor is too weak, bring it on.
That's better, Shorten. But repeating three-word slogans and pushing for early elections, it's some pretty smug smack talk from two parties that didn't do particularly well in a certain election 9 months ago. But is taunting and teasing one another really the way to look like a responsible adult alternative to the current government? You're no longer at that high school that you all went to together 300 to 600 years ago.
Previously on Parliament High.
And we raised enough money to keep the Clean Energy Club going for another year.
Hey losers. Guess which mad dude just got voted school captain? are beaches. And if you want it back, you can fight me for it. Anytime, any place.
Oi, rack off, Tony.
We leave school at the end of this year, so let's shut down the Clean Energy Club and spend all that money on some sweet model fighter jets for the cadets.
You're barking mad.
Yeah, I'd be a heaps better school captain than you.
No, you wouldn't.
If you think you're so good, let's call another election.
Why don't you bring it on?
Yeah, bring it on.
Fight, fight, fight.
Okay,
fight,
I'll bring it on.
Fight,
when and where?
How about right now?
Nah, I can't do it.
Why? Scared you'll lose?
No, stop repeating me.
No, stop repeating me. Fight. You're not saying anything, Tony?
I got my eye on you, electricity bill.
Ooh. Don't you call me that again, you Darrow.
Does this mean we're going out?
And in the next episode, Andrew Bolt heard that those two sat together during lunchtime and he told everyone about it in his shit school newspaper. But with Labor and the Greens pushing for a double dissolution election, Joe Hockey has told them to rack off, accusing the opposition of defying the will of the electorate and claiming this mandate has now been ignored by Labor and the Greens twice. And since they've ignored it twice, the coalition has said they're going to put forward the exact same clean energy bill for a third time, only this time it'll be in front of the new Senate. Because, you know, you've asked your mum for ice cream, she said no, so you ask your dad, and if he says no, you dissolve your parents and you tell the new ones you've got a goddamn mandate for some goddamn ice cream. We'll be right back.
Have you ever coasted off the intangible concept of a mandate for longer than anyone thought possible? Are you even sure you have a mandate? Are you sure you don't mean you've got a magical human-shaped plant called a mandrake? Because right now that seems more likely. If so, we'd love to hear about it at the Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Finally tonight, there are concerns that Google is collecting metadata from students because kids say the darndest things, which can be used to target ads at them. Now, we all know Google gathers information about us. How else could it know I'm in the market for mature singles in my area? You couldn't tell just from looking at me. But online privacy experts are concerned the information collected in schools via its Google Apps for Education software could be used for targeted advertising towards children. And I'll admit, I was a little concerned when I saw their app, "Hey kids, what you reading there? Is it a book about cereal? What cereal do you like specifically?" But it's just in beta, so I'm sure on release they'll change the name to something snappy like Kid Crunch or Face Kid or Kidly or Kid Bay or Kids to Kid. You know, one of those bullshit Silicon Valley names. Now, of course, some targeted ads are innocuous or even helpful, but other ones, well.
And some of them might be for things that are positively dangerous, like gambling or drugs or nude webcams.
Yeah, I bought one of those nude webcams and it's filthy. Plus, those targeted ads for drugs are the worst. They're not even accurate. I am clearly a meth guy. Now, Google explicitly doesn't advertise on its education software, but does continue to scan data, causing privacy experts to ask,
why are they analyzing student data? So one thinks somewhere down the road it must be useful to them, otherwise why would they do it?
Yeah, why else would a service collect information about the way people use that service? It's definitely not to improve the service, it's probably drugs. So the concern is Google's collecting a lot of information from kids in schools. You know who else is collecting a lot of information? Kids in schools. And yet no one's asking, what are those kids doing with all that information? It's probably drugs. But collecting information doesn't mean they're always going to do something bad with it. I mean, my doctor knows a lot about me, and that's a good thing because it helps keep me alive.
So it says here you've been experiencing some pain.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Where does it hurt?
Well, just all over, really.
Where specifically?
Why do you want to know?
So I can help you get better.
Yeah, but what are you going to do with that information?
Help you.
Oh, that. Oh, my leg! I mean my Greg! Bye, Greg.
Now, targeted advertising to children is a legitimate concern to a lot of parents.
I just don't think our schools should be laboratories for marketers to figure out how best to market to young people.
But let's not pretend that every parent wouldn't change their mind about Google in a heartbeat if Google's metadata could tell them how best to market things like doing chores and eating vegetables. And would you just shut up for 1 second? I'm trying to think. And having Google tell you your child is specifically swayed by flashing colours, finds One Direction trustworthy and is most susceptible to advertising at 3:36 in the afternoon would be like having the world's most up-to-date and incredibly specific parenting book.
Dad, I'm home. Gonna go upstairs and play video games. Dad?
You don't know your times tables. That's why you gotta do your homework.
Yay, homework!
Oh, end the show. I want to do my homework. Good night.
That's what makes you beautiful.
Yeah!